Hello, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Uh, so, welcome to today's live workshop. Today we're going to be going over Unreal Engine specifically for animators. And we've got a special guest here, Olivier, who has been an amazing mentor and one of the co-creators of the game program at Animation Mentor. So I'm super excited about this. For the first hour, we're going to be having that specific topic. In the last half hour of this workshop here, we're also going to have Tim and Mars from the Student Success team here at Animation Mentor jumping on to help answer any questions that you might have about the school, about our programs, about anything like that. So, without further ado, I should actually mention before that, I'm sorry, I'm padding it out. I am Bo Pratt. I'll be assisting today. So, with that out of the way, let me pass it over to Olivier and let him go into the demo here.
Hello,
Olivier.
everyone. Yes, my turn. Hi, yeah, so I'm Olivier Zurcher. I was one of the co-creators for AM's games program. I worked way too long in the animation industry. And yeah, now I'm here. And I want to go over a little bit about the Unreal Engine for animators because, we think that it's mostly, oh, just for some games, but actually it's being used everywhere. So, um, so whether you're like a seasoned animator, professional animator, or you're trying to learn some new tools or trying to understand Unreal, you can see that there's huge opportunities that comes from it. So I'm gonna show you a little bit how. We're gonna go into two different Unreal demos as well, kind of to show you like now where it's being used. Um, and yeah, we'll also cover some studios and not just game studios that are using Unreal and how it fits into an animator's workflow and how you can start using it. So let's get going. Cool. Okay. So why Unreal? Well, yeah. So if you think, Unreal is just for games, then well, it's not anymore, pretty much. It used to be. But now it's being used more and more for feature animation, VFX, for even previs and just so many categories. You get shows like, The Mandalorian, Love, Death and Robots are using it as well, and even big animation studios are integrating it into their pipelines. Now, why is this? Well, why are we using Unreal Engine in this, big budget films and TV shows? It's because of the real-time rendering. It's a game changer, and not just for animators, but for everyone, participating in the project. Like it will like speed up your animation workflow by 10 times. It'll make iteration extremely fast because you can see live what's going on. You press Control S, and then bam, you can see your animation inside the level of the lighting of everything is just very, very um, advanced compared to the old ways of doing it. But I'll go more to that in a second. Um, yeah. So it could take like hours to render, and but here you get instant feedback. For example, when I was working more in film, I would be animating. Let's say we're animating a big elephant. Okay, cool. So we got your animation. It'll take like weeks to get it approved, and now game director is like, yeah, good to go. Let's send it off. So now we're going to add the muscle mass on it. Then we're going to add the skin and the skin sliding on it. And then we're going to add the hair and all these different elements on top of it. And then we're going to render it. So now you haven't seen your shot in a month and you finally see it and like, wow, this looks terrible. Now your animation needs to be pushed away more to actually get that feeling of weight back in. And it took you so long to see it. And you have to go through all the whole process again and again and again. But with Unreal, you don't need to do that. It's just straight up, you press Control S, and then you're good to go. Um, Now, the demand for Unreal is getting much higher throughout the years. And I did take a little example here. This is Chris Main's great guy. He has tons of different jobs. Every day he posts new jobs on it that you can see. And for example, this year I just did a quick filter. And so there's 206 animated positions on his spreadsheet. And 30% of them were asking for Unreal knowledge. And now this is animation, could be VFX, could be games, could be TV film. This is just overall filter, just animator. And even there, just 30% are already asking for more Unreal knowledge, and it's growing year by year. So it is very good to get that under your belt and to know it because technology is advancing. And as animators, we do need to stay on top of the game. especially now with AI and machine learning, it's becoming even more relevant to at least know some tech as an animator and not just art. Um, cool. I think that's it. Sweet. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, oh man, do I need to learn a new way to animate? I just learned Maya. I can learn how to animate in, this whole new way. You don't have to, right? The fundamentals, they're all the same. Your posing, your timing, your weight, everything will still apply. So it doesn't matter if you go 2D, 3D, if you animate in virtual reality, all that stuff, animation is the same as long as you're really, really good and you understand your fundamentals of animation, it'll apply everywhere. So this could be Unreal, this could be Motion Builder, Maya, doesn't matter, it'll still apply. What Unreal does bring to the table is it amplifies your skills. So you can animate, so if you want, you can animate directly in Unreal, and I can show you a little bit during the demo. We don't have the control rig, but I can show you on the Mac and control rig if you like. Um, yes, but the way it amplifies them is you can iterate so much faster. So let's say you're working on a game, you can link an animation directly to the database for that character's movement. For example, you press Control S and automatically saves it as a new version, and you just press play and you can see your animation directly there already. And same thing for any TV or film or whatever you're working on, is just extremely fast. So the less time you have to worry about, exporting, bringing it in, or waiting for a render time, all that stuff, the more time you can actually spend on animation itself and get your animations looking really good. So it gives you way more control and speed. And for example, here I have a little GIF there showing how they can just like move a little controller there and it already affects it. Mm, cool. Now, yeah, in a traditional pipeline, first, you animate, then you render, then you review, the animation director reviews, the director, everyone reviews, and then it goes back and you repeat. And that takes time. It takes a long time. But in Unreal, you animate it and you see it instantly. So just reiterating the point, it's a game changer. Um, and then yeah, you have your lighting, your effects, even your camera work is all there. It's on in real time. So instead of just waiting for a render, you can just spend more time again on performance and storytelling. So here I do have a project I'm going to show. Cool. Okay. So this is one of the project from one of our students, Alice de Ramos, and she kindly gave me a project to kind of show during this class. And this is how it looks like in our current games course. Currently, she's in GO5, which is the character locomotion. And so she'll just open, yeah, it's fine. And we'll just show some of the motion and as well as some of the combat. So the enemy is not spawned in yet, but we're going to show later on how the enemy looks like. So you can see in this class, we do all the running, we have some jumping, we have some walks. We also have the strafing attacks, the strafing and the attacks as well. You also have some put in the effects if you want to. You can put in audio as well. And we kind of show not just the animation part, right? So as an animator, you would just do the animation, but in these courses here, we kind of show how to put it together through different ways called montages. For example, if I'm going to open one of them, blend spaces. So it's kind of showing you not just the animation part, but also the technical part, right? So here, as I move my mouse around, we can kind of see it going from one strafe to the other. Here we have a more simple 2D type of blend space where it goes from an idle, and as we move it back forward here, it goes into the run cycle. So depending if you have a controller and you just go a little bit forward, then you can go into this walk, and it's going to blend into more of a run cycle here. And then we have the settings here on the side where you can put in your walk speed, your damage output, how you can kind of create your character for your own ideas. how it attacks, um, special attacks. Open one of them, for example. Open the combo attack here. Right. So kind of like designing your attack here based on sending different triggers. So, oh, I want to set this trigger. Oh, that didn't work. Well, I'm going to move it here now. And now I can just click save and I can see it live in the game. I don't have to, wait for any renders or anything, and how to add different camera shakes and kind of how to build this game using the Unreal Engine. And now, obviously, this is just a game, but for TV and film, this also applies because these are triggers to call VFX, to call different cameras. And so you would also understand this if you don't work directly in games. This still applies in TV and film. Now I can also quickly show here how you kind of animate. I think there's one here. Okay, so there's a mannequin here, and I can kind of show how the rigs would be. Everything's super zoomed in. That's right here. Try one in here. There you go. So this looks very similar if if you use Maya or Motion Builder or anything, and you can directly animate in here. What's really cool with Unreal is that you're able to do how's it called again? Forward and backwards type rendering. So you can, here, I'll show you, for example, you can animate something, but then you can also bring back the animation of the bone. So when you animate something in Maya, right, you move your controllers. I'll create some keys here, and it moves the bones. However, in Unreal, you can also use the bones to move the controllers. And I'll show little things. It just goes up and down. Beautiful. Down. There you go, super basic. And then we can just set end time. Okay. So what's pretty sweet with this is when you do save an animation, for example, so if I right click on it and I just say, okay, I want to bake this animation sequence, I can also create a linked animation sequence. And this is what kind of, you press Control S and everything updates by itself in the game, which is super cool. I'll just bake it for now and show, I'll just put it here. Well, so what's cool with this is that you can actually import animations on it. So if I just like delete a bunch of stuff here, I can actually put this animation back on it. Just to kind of showcase the forward and backward solving. So here you can see it does my animation, but there's no controllers, right? There's only the bones. And what's cool with this is that you can just right click on it and you can bake it back onto the controllers. Right? And now you have the controllers. And with this, you can take an animation that you like, oh, this is the way, they do the certain movement is really cool. So I'll just bring it in here. I can bake on it. You can go back and forth extremely fast. I can take, this actor, for example, and just start adding, a bunch of different animations, right? Now I have this animation here, like if you're creating some type of trailer for something, a lot of the times they'll take some walk cycles from here and kind of start pacing them together. Now, if I take a walk here, right now he's walking, and I can just move him forward. Now I'm going to show this a bit more in the other demo, which has the no, some of it like a sequencer type demo. But you can see now the character's walking, and this could be saved as this is like a work file. If you can think of this as like a work file, the sequencer, you can save it, as whatever you want. On the left-hand side now, we have a bunch of really cool animation tools as well. So we have the different pose, like a pose library type tool. And this is pretty much everything that's the most useful to animators right now is added there. So you're not overwhelmed by tons and tons of different tools. You only have the ones that we use the most and that they currently use the most. For example, on Lego, on Fortnite, or what. So this is what's really cool about this. You're not going too crazy. This is also the automatic blend spaces. So if you are a professional animator, you can switch between parent and world extremely easily. You don't need any special tools because um, when your hand is IK and when you go to FK and those type of stuff, it gets very complicated. And here it's automatic. So the big thing with Unreal again is just you can iterate extremely fast. And then there's a constraints one as well here. So again, everything's just made simpler. Whatever you need so much help for in like Maya and Unreal, it's already there. And they keep updating it. So every time there's a new update during like Unreal Fest, you see a bunch of new updates for animation as well. And it's really nice because everything is new. Cool. Right. Oh yeah, my character's still in there. Oh, can't. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's about it. Yeah, so this is some locomotion attacks, special attacks, and then we also have strength animation and cinematics afterwards as well. Okay. So yeah, so as you saw, kind of, so this is the power of real-time rendering. So what makes Unreal special, and by that, it's also for us as real-time gameplay mechanics or real-time being able to see your animation. Let's put my camera back up. Camera. There, I put some gel in my hair, so I might as well showcase that. Yeah, so it's just instant feedback. You're not waiting for renders, you're not waiting for anything, you're waiting for someone to plug in or send it off somewhere, the render farm or whatever. You just get instant feedback, and that's faster revisions. Again, it's better animation because you have more creative freedom. You have way more ability to work directly on your animation. Cool. So now who's using Unreal? Well, everyone. So film, TV, cinematics, trailers, feature animation. So it's not just indie teams, there are also big studios are investing a lot of money into getting some full Unreal, using Unreal for full productions. Some examples here, we have The Mandalorian for like virtual production. We have Love, Death, and Robots for more real-time like animation sequences, Arcane. We have, and then we also have, of course, Fortnite, League of Legends, and all that for like cinematics and trailers. One example here at the top right, you can see Mandalorian, and they have this really big screen surrounding them. So it's about 20 foot high, about 270-degree semicircular LED video wall. And with that, they kind of put in the actual Unreal scene within it, so they can move around mountains, move around actors, and do different environments. That way, the actor inside can they can kind of not talk to, but they know where to look. They know where to look. They know like how to better act on that. Yeah, it just adds more flexibility. And you can also, you can shoot in multiple locations. So in a single day, so you're not stuck in, there's the sun is covered today. We can't shoot. We have to wait for, next week. Okay, let's bring all the actors next week to this location. Well, no, with this, you can just do it in multiple locations directly because the extra environment is in Unreal. So you can just move the sun back a little bit, and now we're in the morning. So that's really powerful, and it saves a lot of money as well for the production companies. We're not demo. Yeah. So what can you do with Unreal as an animator? So again, right, keyframe directly in Unreal without needing to import from Maya, export from Maya. You can blend mocap and head kit animations very easily because you can use that track for motion capture, stick it in there. You can kind of iterate over it, but it's a non-destructive because you always have that track at the top. And you can always go back to it because everything's in layers. So you can add more and more animations on top of it. And you can always go back to, oh, wait, how I cleaned up too much on my arm. How was it before? And say, oh, it's right there. And you can quickly take it back. And then you can use the Unreal sequencer for animation cinematics. And I'll show another project here. Cool. So now this one's going to play, so I'm not sure how fast it'll be, but I'm just going to hit play here. Oh yeah, so this is from Doug Wheeler in our cinematics course. Um, it's really graphic. Sorry about that, but but yeah, you can see here what happens is as soon as I click play, it plays this cinematic, and then it'll go back into gameplay. This is a stripped down scene, so it doesn't go into his gameplay because we kind of just to make it a little bit lighter for now. But if I were to open up this sequence here, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger for everyone. Here to see. Yeah, so this is pretty simple. There you go, pretty simple sequencer. The same thing as you saw last time. However, here we do have a camera and the cameras, and then we have the different characters in it, right? So I can go play back and forth. You can see the whole sequence happening. The camera's there, and you can have multiple cameras as well. This one only has one camera because it's a bit easier to blend directly into gameplay. But you can have camera shots as well, all different tracks. So I could have multiple cameras here. And in it, there's some a lot of keys here on the transform because you can, if you have a camera in Maya, what's nice is you can literally just right click on it and you can hit import and it'll import directly from Maya. You import your FBX and that's it. That's all you have to do for the camera. You don't have to do any crazy positioning and takes a long time to do. So that's really nice. And then you can just delete or you can create your own keys or animation here. These are all just keyframes. Multiple camera cuts. Let me get the camera view here. And yeah, let's say, so here we have Spyro's intro. Here we have Greystone's. He only has one track, but let's say I wanted to add like, oh, I want to add a camera shake. Maybe when she goes here. So to do that, it's pretty simple. I can create different types of camera shakes, but if I just right click on my camera and actually the plus sign, the camera, and go, for example, a camera shake here, you can press my camera shake blueprint, and now it's going to do this crazy camera shake here, but bring it down a little bit. And let's say we want the shake to happen here. All right, I can see the shake is going on. That's super over the top right now, right? So let's just go into it. Let's open this blueprint. There you go. Cool. So I can just always change the blends a little bit. There's a frequency, so let's just make it like, we'll put it 50, it'll just shake a little bit. It'll be a much slower type shake too. But as I change these values on the fly, it's actually changing here on the fly as well. A little bit here. Right, so now you can see right now it's much slower. So it feels more like somebody bumped the camera a little bit, but I don't have to render, I have to do anything. It just everything is, the lighting is there, right? If I want to move her here, you can see how she kind of changes in the lighting too as well, right? So if I would say, oh, no, camera's a little bit all messed up, but we can do that on the fly, right? And if you're not sure, well, I can, oh no, crash. This is something that happens a lot too,
Screen
unfortunately.
sharing and Unreal do not like to play well together at
Oh my
times.
gosh. Yeah, there you go. Sweet. Let's see how many times it can crash in an hour. Ah, yes. This here, cool. Yeah, so pretty much That's it here. I could always create a new camera if I wanted to. So now I have a new camera. Let me just turn off this camera. And I'm currently piloting the camera. So I can always change the angle. I say, oh, I want this to be here. All right, so I can have this camera. Now this one can be my main camera now when I do go into my cinematic. And then you can do a bunch of stuff with this, right? You can change um, the actual, where's the, not the look at, the focus settings. Not sure if anyone can see that, but I can always focus on Spyro, for example. I can do a look at the actor, so I can look at Spyro and just have the camera kind of track her. So now if I get off this camera, for example, as I move it around, right, we're always gonna, well, it's on Greystone, but we're always gonna, move around based on where he is. So if I just put a key here and then to 120 and put a key over here, all right, we can kind of see the curve, if you can see that in the stream, but you can see there's like a curve here, kind of like the motion path of this asset. All right, and if I press play now, this is now my new intro camera, right? It just took 2 seconds to kind of see what happens if I change that, or I can, take everyone here, I can move them somewhere else on this in this level. I want to see if I can also, right, and as I move this lighting around, right, now we get a completely different lighting, different time of the day. So if it was more like, oh, let's try it more at night, for example, right, now we have a completely different type of setting for this character. And oh, I don't like this camera. I know I don't want to turn it off. Let's get my other camera in here instead. Now we have this one. Oh, oops, let me. Here. Right, now we have the original camera. So we can see how super fast it is to iterate. Now this is more for like the camera work, but as an animator, you also work on the camera, and just in Unreal itself, how to work for animation. And I can always, if we were doing animations, then here I can just add different animations that I want to. Let's say I think she has some emote here. Turn this one off. Say, oh, I want to try doing a handstand on this character. Bloop. Sweet. She does a handstand, and then maybe she'll like do some jumps. So we can add another one and another animation track. And then this one, I want to do something else. But yeah, you can merge different animations together. And let's say you were doing like a start of a walk, for example. You want to do, okay, well, I'm going to get my idle and my walk. I'm going to blend them together, overlay them together, and then cut it, export it out. By export, I mean just save it out. And then you can put it back in and kind of put it back on your rig. So you're using animations to cut together, just like in motion capture. And then you're putting it back on the rig, and everything is super fast. And you can just turn off these layers, right? To kind of see, okay, well, what was it before my motion capture? You can add control rigs on top of this as well. You can do everything, and it's very fast, as you can see here. So it's really, really cool. Sweet. Maybe I'll go over to, oh yeah, so now this preview here, the GIF you see is from another student, Stefano Bertolini. He's also in the cinematics class, and I was going to show his project as well, but I did a render instead, that we can kind of see him using the effects, right? And that's the enemy is right there as well. So this is one of the assignments we do, and it showcases, the actual acting as well as getting the camera into gameplay, and then going from there and starting to attack, doing all the hit reactions like you saw in the first Unreal project we showed there. And then here he added in a new environment, which the students are now they can do. and we kind of help out just to kind of get it in there. But yeah, so uh, we're still animation first. So as an animator, you have to be good at animation. And the technical, it's not just technical, right? We kind of show how it would be done, how you can bring your animations into the Unreal Engine. And that's super valuable, especially in interviews. You can ask anyone who interviews animators if they understand the technical aspects. It's a huge plus. Um, you just go to the next stage pretty much. Um, but yeah, but still, we first and foremost, you still need to have a good animation. Um, cool. So it's not just technical artists. So you'll learn directly from the industry professionals as well who there are using Unreal in the day-to-day jobs. And it's also very flexible and hands-on, so which is nice because it's all online. Oh, there you go. Look at
Well, we've got a bunch of questions here, so if you're ready, we can dive right into that.
that.
And I
Sure.
just want to say, uh, for everyone looking at Unreal here, it's a little like I don't know if you were seeing the little bit of lag, which unfortunately we can't solve. But I highly recommend download it and play around with it. It's free. When you actually start seeing all of that you can do live, it really hits differently. And the stuff of, oh, I changed my lighting, and the whole scene is pretty much rendered and ready to go. It's brilliant. it's it's addicting. I'll put it that way.
Mhm.
Uh, so we've got uh, quite a few questions here. Now, one question we have is regarding Unreal and Unity, and specifically, what's kind of the main difference, if any, and is it worth learning Unreal or Unity, especially as an animator looking for a job in the industry?
If you're going to learn one of them, learn Unreal. That's the one that's more prevalent, especially since there was a big fiasco that happened not too long ago where they changed their pricing and it forced a lot of the studios, even indie studios, to go into Unreal instead. And they've been kind of hurting since then. Before it was kind of easier to use. That's why people used it as for animators, but now it's really Unreal. So I would say focus on Unreal if you're going to focus on one of them, or if you want to do both, sure, go for both. But most of the job postings for a game engine, it's 90% it'll be Unreal rather than Unity. And if you know Unreal, you're going to know Unity as well.
It's similar to Maya and Blender, where when you know one, you can just quickly learn the other. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay, cool. So we had a few questions here. I don't know if you'll be able to show this if we have time for it. We had a few questions regarding the graph editor in Unreal. People were wondering, is there a graph editor? How does it work compared to Maya? Are there any pros or cons to it in comparison to programs like Maya or Blender?
Right. You can see it's very similar. Um, Pressing F does the same thing. It frames. It shows your whatever you have selected in here. It'll directly show as well. And you have a lot of the same features here. For example, doing retiming, selecting different keys here. I can do different retiming. I can scale down however I want. This one here as well. I'm sure you've seen this one as well. You double click on it and you can kind of move things around, which is what Maya has as well. This is very useful for retiming your shots and doing, even motion capture as well. And yeah, then you have all your automatic, curves, your linear step keys. Everything is pretty much the same. So it looks very similar and feels very similar to Maya, which is great.
From everything I've done in my tests and working with Unreal, it really does just feel like Maya with a slight reskin.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Honestly, oh, sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Well, it's because it's brand like Maya has been out for so long that they kind of like worked on top of very old information and the way things were done. But with this here, it's so new that they can kind of skip all the stuff we didn't need, and that causes it, that was bad, and just go from just fresh out of the box, and that's why it's very fast, it's very intuitive compared to Maya.
Nice. So really the main animation difference between Maya and Unreal is a lack of things like plugins. For example, for Maya, you have Animbot and all of these really cool things. Unreal, because it's so new, hasn't gotten to that point yet.
Exactly. Yeah. But it does have the main things like, like the pivots, the layers, the snapping between machine, the poses. So everything that they actually do use day to day to create a game or to create cinematics, it's been created here. So they're trying to really limit the amount of it's quality over quantity when it comes to tools in Unreal for animation.
Nice.
Mhm.
And then we had a few questions here regarding animation layers. In Maya, animation layers are a big tool that a lot of animators tend to use, and then they'll sometimes switch to another program, and there's no animation layers. Is that something that Unreal does, and does it do it easily?
Yeah, it's actually there's a little tab now for layers here, and you can see it's very similar as well. You can choose your additive or override. And you can add a bunch of layers you want here. So it's very kind of very like Maya as well. To do that, you can also use layers. But before, I think before this newest version, you could have added the layers directly inside the sequencer, where I can add, for example, here an additive layer, right? So now instead of going up and down, let's say I want to go from side to side, right? So here I can just add additive layers inside, and I can change the weight or change the whatever I want from this layer. I can turn it off, bake it all down, or switch the mode to override if I want to do like change my idle pose, for example, override and then just key the weight on it. So you have multiple ways. One thing with Unreal is that there's not one way of doing anything. That's with any game engine. There's multiple ways of doing one thing, and it doesn't mean one is worse than the other. So it really depends on your workflow, and that's just making games in general. That's what happens. But yes, there is animation layers.
That's really cool. And
Mhm.
it looks like there's motion trails there as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Here, yeah. It's nice and concise. Everything's very small and very you can see, there's no special like just there's so much information when it comes to other tools. And this is nice. I like how it's very easy to use.
The color coding is nice, and I appreciate that. It makes it so easy to find where you are.
Mhm.
Regarding the program itself, we have quite a few people here asking if Unreal does so much, what is the purpose of using something like Maya or Blender, especially in a studio setting? Why are we still using it? Is there an advantage? Is that going to go away, and should we just be moving to Unreal?
So it depends on how much money was invested into their pipeline. So it invested millions to get something that works with Maya to Unreal to whichever engine they use, and they're going to keep it because it's working until it breaks. Then they have to switch. Um, but you do still need Maya for or and like other programs to create your characters, to actually to model them, to rig them. Not so much now because now we also have the rigging tools in Unreal that they're coming out with. Um, but it's also a risk for like the big companies to switch, right? Because now it's like, oh, what if something breaks? Well, how's the support with the with Epic? Um, but more and more companies are switching because the long term, it's it'll become more useful the more and more, right? It'll be just going faster, and they're going to save money from it. But the actual modeling, it's not. You don't really do modeling in Unreal. You can now. You can change vertices and stuff, but it's not as good as for Maya or 3ds Max or any of the other tools.
So essentially, there's as the program evolves, we're always going to have uses for other programs. We're never going to get to a point where here's this one program, it does everything. There's always going to be the ZBrush, the Blender, the Maya, the Unreal, a suite of programs to build one project.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Because more specific, like you can get something
Hmm.
that works for everything, like Unreal's trying to do. They want to take everyone, but then it might not be as good as a specific program that was made just for modeling. 'Cause then you have way more tools to get really into the nitty gritty. Here you'd have more of a basic kind of, you know, tools that you could use, like an indie game studios could probably that's good enough for us to create it. But when it does come to animation, though, it is very strong. You can make a whole game in it very easily.
Nice.
Mhm.
And regarding other programs, as we're bringing things into Unreal, we have some questions here regarding does Blender, is it easy to import things into Unreal as it is with Maya or with other programs? Like if I'm animating in C4D, can I just export that and bring it into Unreal, or am I stuck with Maya and Unreal?
You can bring it from anywhere as long as you bring in
Nice.
you just export in FBX and then you can bring it from anywhere. Now, there is different coordinate systems when it comes to Unreal and different programs. For example, Maya is Y up, the Y axis is up, but in Unreal it's a Z up. And then there's also they made a mistake, or there's a talk about it saying he was sorry, the guy who made Unreal, because it was supposed to be X forward, but then now they have Y forward as well. So there's like a mix of two. But anyways, there's like a bunch of different coordinate system uh, that differ between different projects. So you just have to be careful with that when you export and you bring stuff in. But it'll
That
work.
is
Yeah.
that is definitely one of the things that tripped me up when I first started between Unreal, Maya, and ZBrush, and then Blender afterwards. Trying to remember who has Y up and who has Z up. It
Yeah.
becomes a little bit of a mental juggle.
Yeah, but then different programs they kind of have like, oh, this is an Unreal game exporter, and they say where are you exporting to? Well, to Unreal, and they'll do the conversion automatically, like Maya does, which is nice.
Those are so nice. I love those tools when you can just export, click a button. It's like, I don't have to think about this. Ah,
Hmm.
it makes my
Back in the
life so much
day,
easier. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
Now, regarding the industry, you were mentioning there were a lot of studios looking for Unreal experience. For animators kind of looking to learn that, do you know what level of experience a lot of them are looking for? So, for example, are they looking for people to just be able to animate in Unreal? Are they looking for people to be able to understand blueprints and state machines and all of that kind of technicality, how to build the game, or at least the game animations within Unreal?
yeah. So it's different based on your level as well. So if you're going in as a junior, a mid, or a senior, and also if it's a small company or a big company. Now, the small companies, you wear many hats, so the more you know, the better. So if you're able to build a system in the animation blueprint, not the blueprint itself, but that's more the tech art and animation programmers who work on that. Where in the animation blueprint, which if you don't anyone doesn't know what that is kind of like, well, what's my walk? When do I play my walk? How do I transition from my walk to my run? So those type of stuff, which is very animation focused, because you don't want a programmer to say, oh, how do I transition from this animation to this animation? Well, like this, but it looks bad. We want the actual animator to say, well, I want my blend to be 0.3 of a second, so the blend looks nice, right? So now that's more for mid and senior roles in bigger companies because they'll kind of say, okay, well, can you build this system for us? So if I'm doing a vault, for example, how are we going to vault? Well, I need to do my animations. I need to get, the values of when to play those animations, your route and all stuff, and then you can kind of build it within the animation blueprint. But most of the time, as long as, so if you're in an interview and you say, oh, yes, I know Unreal, I know how to import my stuff into Unreal, how to plug things in, that's already a very big plus because then they don't have to, they can trust that you can hit the ground running and um, and that you understand tech to a certain point. So that's already a big plus, especially when I interview people if they already know Unreal or a game engine, and they kind of know that the tech part it helps a lot.
That's awesome. And regarding that kind of idea of what companies are looking for, we have some people asking when you're applying for a cinematic animator position at a video game company versus a gameplay animation position. How much does that change? What are the kind of requirements needed? And even as a cinematic animator, is it still important to know Unreal?
Yes, because you're going to be spending a lot of times in Unreal to get all the cameras in, to get let's you'll build your sequencer, you get all your animation shots inside it. You want to make sure your camera is working, and then you also have to put trigger points based off of different people who are working with you. For example, the VFX say, "Hey, we need to make this the fire goes in the hand." Well, you're gonna have to tell them, "Okay, well, this is the trigger point I'm going to do at frame 45." Okay, then they can kind of sync to your animation. There's also where in the world it's going to be place your cinematic. So you need to work with other designers and everyone else to kind of give you a piece of the land or a coordinate system to be based off of when you do create your animation. But you'll be spending a lot of time in the actual sequencer because then you're going to be cutting pieces together, shortening stuff out, especially during previs, making it work. So it'll be a blend of both Maya and Unreal for cinematic animators.
Nice. So essentially, as a cinematic animator, you're still dabbling in both, but you're just doing less of the technical blueprinting and connecting of things to some level, versus a gameplay animator that's a little bit more into that side of things.
Exactly, yeah. And it depends on your cinematic too, if you're reusing assets from the game. So if you have one of your characters is will just walk from here to there, you can make it a scripted event, so it will just play that sequencer, or you can actually, start putting some actual AI elements into it. For example, if you have a sequence that plays an idol, someone looking around, but then if you hit them or you point at them, now they become an enemy and they run towards you. But then once you kill them, then it plays a new. So you can go back and forth using different events. So that's cinematic. It's also called scripted events as well. So you could do a blend of the both. So you kind of need to understand how to go in from one and the other, but it's less animation blueprint involved because the pretty much the sequencer will send all that information to a specific node that you get to choose in the animation blueprint. So you don't really have to do as long as that node is there, then you're okay.
That's cool. And just to clarify, when you mentioned adding AI elements, it's not the new AI term, but
Oh
the
no.
old AI term of just enemy intelligence of the game.
Yes, it's very confusing. Even now in the
Yeah.
industry, it's like whenever I say AI, I'm like, wait, not no, not machine learning. I mean yeah, the actual enemy
Yeah,
AI.
the AI players, the computer players, the
Yeah,
term we've used all throughout the ages of video games.
yeah, we need to figure new terms. It's so confusing now. Yeah.
Uh, so we have some questions here regarding learning programs, and specifically as new learners, someone who's entering the industry, starting to jump into animation. There seems to be so much stuff to learn: Maya, Blender, Unreal, blueprints, all of this stuff. If someone is focused on animation, that is what they want, whether it's game animation or feature film. Uh, do you have a recommendation of what they should focus on first and how they can build that suite of knowledge that they need for the industry?
Yeah, so we just look at job postings and filter out and see what's the most bang for your buck. And so that would be Maya, first and foremost. That's the most used. And Motion Builder is very used as well for, especially for motion capture. But if there was one of them you pick Maya. And Unreal, if you know Maya, you're gonna know Unreal, how to animate in Unreal kind of thing. It's the same but different. When you say that, it's kind of just a bit different how to put it in, but if it's the same animation principles, I would really just go for Maya. I know AM has some Maya like basics class kind of shows how to use it and how to start animating with it, and then just go from there. I think the student is free too, right? The student license for Maya.
Yeah.
Mm.
So if you're a student at Animation Mentor, you would get Maya free of charge, which is really nice because it is an expensive program. Even the indie version, it's not super affordable when you're just trying to learn it.
I think like 400 per month or something like that. No.
I think it's 300 a year US,
Oh, okay.
which
Oh,
is like it's not
okay.
terrible, but when you're a student
No.
and you're just learning, it can add up.
Mhm.
Um, so just kind of with that topic in mind of what to learn first, even as a gameplay animator, it sounds like the thing to really focus on first is the animation side of it, not the technical side. You want your animation skills to be the strongest portion of your demo reel of your skill set. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. As an animator, you want your animation to be top notch, pretty much. But then it could then once you start, growing up and getting better and better, knowing some technical skills will put you ahead of the other. So you have two animators, very good. One knows a bit more technical and how to use the game engine, while they're going to be the ones that are going to be moving forward in the interview process because it shows that you're able to kind of understand tech and how to do more QA type stuff to bring in your animations, to plug them in. So it shows that you have more, um, I guess not really better team player, but how you can be more involved um, in the game and talk to other people in different departments and stuff.
Yeah, the ability to communicate between different aspects of a pipeline is incredibly helpful. Even if it's just understanding the terminology that other people use,
Mhm.
it smooths things out so much. Let's see. We're pretty much at time here, but would you have time for a couple more questions?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
There's just some good ones here that a lot of people were asking. So the one here is regarding let's see here. There we go. Regarding rigs. So if students want to start jumping into Unreal, would they be able to just use any rig that they have from their school and or from something they found online and just put it into Unreal and start playing with it, or do they have to look for Unreal ready rigs?
Yeah, it'll have to be Unreal ready. So created, it's called control rigs. They use their own rigging. So you can't just use a Maya rig and put it in. You can, however, if it is a Maya rig, that means the bones are skinned. So the mesh is skinned, right? So once you bring it into Unreal, it creates a file called the skeletal mesh. And with that, you can use their auto rigger. So if you look into there's some videos online, you can look. Unreal created the new auto rigger, which kind of will place the controllers on for you. And because the rig is already skinned, and you can move it in Maya, you'll be able to do that as well in Unreal. So as you can just use that auto rigger, the rig itself, and then you'll be good to go. Or you can just use one of the from the asset store in Unreal and just import that. There's probably tons of different free rigs you can use. But if you don't have any controllers to add the controllers, then you can use that auto rigger if you don't have any.
That's awesome. So just like anything, a Maya rig won't work in Blender, a Blender rig won't work in Maya, an Unreal rig is its own thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Uh,
Just the
so
bones are still
yeah,
skin, right? Yeah.
so when we're exporting from Maya, Blender, Cinema 4D, whichever, into Unreal, the big thing is just exporting that bone information as an FBX file into Unreal.
Yes, yeah. The initial export, it'll bring in an actual skeletal mesh, which is like the rig file. And then any future exports, you can just export the bone animation data. And that's all. There's a game exporter, for example, in Maya that kind of does that for you. You can just click a different tab. It's pretty simple now.
Nice.
Mhm.
And then we've got quite a few people here asking, what's the most difficult thing to learn when you're jumping into Unreal? What would be the thing that you see students kind of trip on the most or have trouble kind of wrapping their brain around when they're going from one software into Unreal?
I think there's so much stuff everywhere, right? So you get the right side is a bunch of settings, the left side, but everywhere is like, oh, what do I do? How do I start? So that's the initial big thing is kind of like, like what do I do with all these settings? It's a bit overwhelming, and there is Epic did create these videos. It's like your first hour in Unreal, your first day in Unreal, which kind of really showcases what you need to focus on. And you don't need to know everything, right? Just focus on what you need for now. And then eventually it'll just slowly build up. Just like when you first open Maya, it's like, oh my God, what is this? What do I do? And that was the big thing. When it comes to more like animation and game type stuff, I would say root motion is a very confusing subject for students and how the root works and how it moves the capsule of the player around. So that's one of the things to kind of wrap your head around. But once you get it, it's second nature.
Yeah, there were quite a few questions about root motion, but I know that's a whole other topic,
Mhm.
which that would have been like a good half hour just on its own to really get it in. Maybe we should do another workshop just on root motion. I would love to have that because I know there's a lot of mysteries about how it works, why it works, and how to connect it and how to work with it properly. I think that I would love that personally.
Yeah, because there's root motion. There's also like, uh, distance matching, and now there's also
hmm
motion matching now, which uses just a different tech. So there's a bunch of different locomotion type systems.
I see people agreeing, so maybe something to think about in the future. So I think that's all the time we have for. Unfortunately, I know there's still a lot of questions here. Uh, but if anyone wants more of these, definitely let us know because I would love to be able to answer more of these questions and hear the answers myself. But I just want to say a huge thank you, Olivier, for doing this. I've been working with you now for what, nearly a year
Yeah.
on production stuff, and getting to hear you just talk about Unreal is so much fun. And within this year, I've learned so much just from this, and Unreal is such a joy to dive into now. Whereas before, I would look at Unreal and have that reaction that I'm sure many people have is like, nah, I'm going back to my, I'm done, I'm good.
hmm
But now it's just so much fun to dive into and play around with.
There's so much
And
content online too. It's
yeah,
kind of, oh, how do we do this? Oh, there's right here. Someone did it. And so, yeah, lots of info.
yeah, your lectures have really helped make me appreciate and just enjoy the program much more than I ever thought I would. So a huge thank you for
Yeah.
that as well. But thank you for taking the time to do this, for sharing your knowledge once again. Uh, And yeah, thank you everyone for jumping in and asking so many great questions. Now, before everyone leaves, we do have another half hour here with the student success team who will be jumping on and answering any question you have about AM, about the game program. I saw quite a few of those in the Q&A panel, so definitely feel free to ask those. But again, huge thank you, Olivier, for doing this, for sharing your knowledge. And I highly recommend if anyone can learn from Olivier, do so. He is a
Mhm.
just fountain of unreal knowledge and
I'm just
just
an animator. I'm just, yeah.
oh, but the stuff you know in the back end, that was the stuff that always scared me. Like, oh, animate, bring it in. Hey, I did that. Yay, day one of the tutorial. And then you go into blueprints and the
Mm.
sequencer. The sequencer like stumped me for so long. And when you explain, it's like, oh,
Oh,
yeah,
not
that makes
bad.
sense. Yeah, that's not so bad.
Mhm.
I can work with that. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thanks,
Yeah, thank you.
Olivier.
It was great. Thanks so much. Thank you,
A, f-
everyone.
a fountain of unreal knowledge. I mean, it's both ways. I mean, the software and or
Mhm.
just in general.
I'm going to
That's
add
pretty
that
cool.
to my slogan
I think you should
somewhere.
put that.
Great. Thanks so much.
Cool. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
So, Tim and
Wow.
Mars, feel free to take it away.
Hard to follow that one up, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
There's so much stuff in there that is, I mean, all of our Maya users are, probably steady writing down notes and waiting for the link of this replay to come, to go, live to rewatch it and pick up some of those tips and tricks on there. So that was super cool, man. He's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, just in case you don't know who we are, my name is Mars. This is my guy Tim, and we are student success coaches here at Animation Mentor. And what we do is we help students kind of figure out, where to start. Sometimes that can be a little bit confusing, and what path to take if you want to be a game animator. What classes you need to do to actually get to the level of learning Unreal and stuff like that. And we guide students all the time. We're on the phones and texts and WhatsApp and talking to students from all around the world every day. It's a ton of fun. And what we're doing now is just answering questions about the school. So if you have any questions about Animation Mentor, how do you attend? How do you apply? Anything about those classes? When do they
All the
start?
things.
All the things.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for right now.
Arash, what's up?
Hey, Arash just signed up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, so check it out too. Joshua had a good one down here too. I was over in that session. Joshua, 10 years industry animation experience. What courses could I bypass? What you do with that, Joshua? Mars was talking about applications and stuff. So we've got this real cool program for folks like you that have a bunch of experience already. You apply for advanced placement, and then you include your demo reel in on that. And by doing that, we'll send that over to one of our mentors. They'll review it. They'll look at everything. You know what they're going to do. They're going to slow it down, frame by frame it. They're going to do all the things, right? And then they're going to come back with a some great feedback notes to kind of talk about what areas look good, what areas need improvement, and then which classes you could bypass with us. So that's what you do in that case, Joshua.
Very cool. I gotta say a couple hellos too. I see Mario in here. Hello to you. And I think I saw who else did I see? Naomi, Isabella. I think that was
Chris,
it.
are you
Boss,
checking in?
Boss
Mario
is here.
checking in. Yeah,
Boss
man,
Raven.
squad. Michaela checking in. Michaela's in WIA. She's in Women in Animation.
Hey, that's awesome.
She's hanging with us.
I found another good question up here in the Q&A panel from Shabam. If I want to be an animator for games, what should I focus on in animation, like body mechanics, acting? Great question. So, you really want to get that solid foundation down, learning the basics of Maya, of course, and then animation basics. I think every animator needs to know the 12 principles of animation, and then strong body mechanics. Body mechanics, we have 2 courses in body mechanics, just the standard body mechanics course, which we call ANO2, and advanced body mechanics. Those are the first 3 really fundamental courses before you dive into Unreal. So that's a great question there.
Yeah, Boss Raven, man, I remember Boss Raven when he was a student over here.
Right.
Man, one of the best names ever, right? If I'm not mistaken, that guy's an Unreal master, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he is. Boss Raven, wrestler's name, exactly what that is.
Totally.
Very
let's
cool.
see. I'm scrolling through some of the Q&A panel to see if there's anything we can answer in there, but feel free to throw any new questions in the Q&A panel. It's easier than the chat if you can.
Yeah, and Fenja, if you mainly have experience in 2D, is there anything you can skip, or do you recommend starting from the beginning? Well, we offer some 2D courses. Our sort of our main thing is 3D character animation. So if you are doing what I was talking about earlier, which is applying for advanced placement, be sure it's got 3D stuff in it. So that's what they're looking for. So in order to be able to bypass any of our earlier 3D courses, like the animation basics or body mechanics, you must submit a demo reel that actually has 3D character animation in there, preferably Maya, because that's what we use here at the school.
Yeah, and actually just kind of addressed a question that Adana had. They were asking, what would you say to students that want to resist Maya because they prefer using Blender? Well, I think Blender is definitely great software. There's nothing wrong with it. It's definitely becoming more widely used, but learning the industry standard, I think, is going to be really beneficial for you. And I would say don't resist.
Yeah, come to the dark side.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it over here. Yeah, Amir, you're right. It's exactly what we've got behind me over here. So super cool that you were able to identify that from that. So it looks like my camera's pretty good then.
Nice.
Cool. Let's take a look what else we have. Oh, yeah. Naomi, yeah, I have a bachelor's in digital arts and animation, but my reel and portfolio need improvement. I'm more of a traditional animator, but I'm familiar with Maya. Would AM be able to help me achieve my goal to get hired? That is a great question, and that's the goal, right? Because you need to get hired in there, in the industry, depending on what it is. But yeah, I mean, if you got a bachelor in digital arts and animation, but your reel and portfolio need improvement, you should definitely send that over for advanced placement review, because at least that way you can have somebody tell you exactly what looks good, what needs help, and that way you can maybe focus on that and either take one of our short courses, or maybe you want to jump into the main 3D character animation program and the game animation program. If you're more of a traditional animator doing 2D and stuff like that, principles are principles, regardless of if it's 2D or 3D. It's the tools that really change with that. So yeah, I would love to take a look at your stuff. So if you want, you send it over, to us. You can submit an application or send it to us, admissions@animationmentor.com, and we'll send it over and have one of our mentors take a peek.
Yep. Absolutely. Jay Sean's asking, what should I worry about before I start animating in Unreal? I mentioned those fundamental courses. That's really going to be the most important part. getting that base down in Maya first, I think, is a really important, fundamental to have down, and then stepping into animation basics, body mechanics, and advanced body mechanics. That's a great way to get started before jumping into Unreal.
Sweet. Bye, boss. I know you're leaving. Cutting out. Let's see here. Hey, Melanie. Because she has a good one right here. Does AM have any scholarships or similar opportunities available? And if so, where could I find those? Where can I find info on those? Thanks so much. So when it comes to stuff like that, Mars and I, we reach out to students, individually, personally. So we call them, we WhatsApp. So we meet with our students to find out if this is somebody that would be a good candidate for scholarship. You don't find anything on the website specific to that, because it is a little bit more personal to us. We know every single student that comes through the school. We
Yep.
see them at the graduation ceremonies. We've got a real vested personal interest in our students and helping them along this journey. And that also kind of ties into the scholarship stuff. So yeah, we do have some opportunities depending on your financial needs and things like that. And location even. So we look at a lot of things on that. So if
Mhm.
you're interested in finding out more about that, definitely message us. We're going to throw out some contact information at the end. We might
Yep.
be able to help you out.
That's awesome. Cool. And then Makachu is asking, do you guys have Unreal Game Engine animation courses? If so, what do they teach? Absolutely. We have a game animation program. It's an 18-month program that covers everything you need to know to prepare a game animation demo reel. And I mentioned the first 3 courses a few times, but it's animation basics, body mechanics, advanced body mechanics. And then when you get into the Unreal courses, we're talking about game animation mechanics and interactive gameplay. We're talking about game animation, dynamic action, and combat, and then ultimately you land at game animation, cinematic cutscenes. So that's 9 months of training in Unreal, which is really going to boost up your demo reel, get it ready to be reviewed by a hiring game animation studio.
Cool. Very good, man. Quick hitter right here. I'm just going to say it. Lemon. There is a graduation ceremony.
Yeah,
There is
absolutely.
actually. So that's a good one. Arash over here real quick. How is the class going to be performed? For example, my class on Thursday at 9 a.m. Should I be ready at my computer, or will I receive pre-recorded videos? You're going to actually get an invitation to the orientation. The orientation is something you should definitely attend. It's a live orientation, so be checking your emails. If you can't make it, there'll be a pre-recorded version of that that's going to tell you exactly where to go for your live session, the training tab. All that stuff is going to be there. It's vital that you do check your email for that, Arash, because that orientation video is going to get you guided down the right path. And watch that campus tour video. I got some of that stuff in there too.
I know the guy that did that.
Yeah, not bad.
Finja is asking, if you mainly have experience in 2D, is there still anything you can skip, or do you recommend starting from the very beginning? Great question. We get that quite a bit. The fundamental principles of animation are the same, across 2D and 3D. But if you haven't actually done it in 3D yet, you got to learn how to apply those principles in 3D. It is a bit of a different process. So if you don't have any 3D experience yet, I do recommend starting off with animation basics, or even the Maya animation course if you've never worked in Maya yet. So yeah, I do recommend starting there.
Coolio. Nice. Oh, Julia, is it recommended that I do the acting program before the gaming one, or can I focus on the gaming one directly? Well, we actually offer 2 separate tracks, right? One is our character animation program, right? Series of 6 courses. The other one is the game animation program, also 6 courses. Interestingly enough, both of these courses start with the same exact first 3 courses: animation basics, body mechanics, and advanced body mechanics. You need all 3 of those for either track that you go down. So if you decide that you want to go down the character animation track, cool. Maybe you can come back later and then take the remaining 3 courses of the game animation program as well. So it's up to you which one to do. But you literally have, between that time, you've got 9 months to decide. After you go through animation basics and body mechanics, advanced body mechanics, you've got 9 months to decide which direction I want to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Cool.
What else we got jumping off over here?
I'm checking out some more of these questions.
Yeah. Sinar, I'm getting into 3D animation overall. What exercises do you recommend or courses do you recommend? Maya, Marza talked about it. Maya for sure. Definitely jump all over that, learn some of that. And also kind of figuring out, when you talk about 3D animation, are we talking about character animation? Are we talking about modeling? We know what part of it. If you're doing the movement part of it, then definitely go into our Maya course because we're going to show you all that side of Maya, right? Which is keyframing and using the graph editor, and all those things are going to be covered in there to get you ready for the actual animation basics course that's after that. And then if you're looking for other things to help supplement that, things like the animator survival guide, the
Yep.
illusion of life,
Yep.
those
Great ones.
are great resources that are going to definitely help you. And guess what they are? They're books. They're actual books.
Real?
They're still making them. I understand.
What are they made out of, Uncle
Yeah,
Tim?
papyrus.
Is that a fruit?
Yeah, it is. I love them.
Oh man, it's delicious. Rob Garrett, nice to hear from you. I helped Rob out in the beginning. I can't believe you're about to start ANO 6. That's pretty
Wow.
amazing. It goes by quick, but he's asking after I finish ANO 6, what class would I start with the gaming curriculum? That would be GAO4. So you'd go ahead and start off with the mechanics and interactive gameplay. You've got the skills in Maya now, so now it's time to start learning Unreal. That'd be great. I'd love to see what you do once you start to learn Unreal, because I've been following your progress on LinkedIn. It's been really fun to see, and on campus, but kind of see some of your posts on LinkedIn, and have been awesome to see. So very cool.
Rob, class 6, pulling up the big boy pants for class 6. That's no joke.
Cool.
Let's take a look. Yeah, Robert, I'm familiar with Robert. I've seen that name. I want to get into previs, and I'm looking to take the AM previs course. Would this course help me to build a real portfolio? What other courses should I take? Well, Rob, if you're trying to apply for gigs as a previs artist, for sure, take the previs course. But if you're trying to get into character acting or doing things like that, then make sure that you add some more stuff in there, because in previs you're not going to be having a lot of that stuff in there. It's very almost like 3D storyboarding, if you will, right? Is kind of what they're a lot of what they're doing in there. And so, but if you're looking to get a gig in the industry that's specific to previs, for sure add that in there. And our 6-week course is taught by some vets. For sure, you'll pick up a lot of skills. Is Nicole still teaching the previs, or is it? I should have looked at that beforehand.
I'm not totally sure right off the top of my head, but I hope she is, because
Nicole is still teaching the previs.
Yeah,
Nice.
Nicole Hare teaching previs. She's awesome. She's senior animator over at Netflix, and so how can you go wrong in
Right.
hanging out with her for 6 weeks?
Seriously, look at Bo just popping in.
I know, that was amazing. It was like just out of the and he was like this too, and he came in. I like that. That's cool.
Right. Side view.
Yeah, I dig that.
Well, just to let you guys know a little bit about some important dates that are coming up. So that's March 14th, also known as Pi Day, if you know what that is. And we've got some registration is open right now for our spring term. So our spring term is coming up March 31st. So a couple of weeks away. Hard to believe that the spring term is starting. It's a great time to start the Maya course if you're brand new and you've never used Maya before. Or if you have Maya experience already and you want to start off with that animation basics course, you can still get your application, and it's not too late for that. And the cool thing too is we run almost every course every single term, so you don't have to wait till the fall or next year or anything like that. You can pretty much jump in every 6 weeks for the short courses, or every 12 weeks for the main dishes, if you will.
Yep. I love the main dishes. I'm gonna throw one out there real quick for Moss McPeak. Moss McPeak, would your courses be good for beginners, amateurs? I've been doing 3D animation for 3 years now, and I would love a more focused course. It's one of those things. I mean, it's good for amateurs. It's good for veterans, right? People that have been in the industry for a number of years also come to Animation Mentor and up level their skills as well. And so you could do that. And so if you're somebody that is an amateur at this, but maybe has been doing this for 3 years or something like that, do what I said with some of the other folks and just get an application in for advanced placement. I tell you what, getting a free free reel review is hard to do and very hard to say today.
I can't say that either.
Right. But that's so good that you get that, because you know, you're going to have somebody look at your stuff. They're going to tell you if it's good, bad, or ugly. You need that sometimes. And I mean, you know, he's not going to say anything mean, but you got to know what areas are deficient and how to fix them. Right.
Yeah.
And so doing something like that is the way to go. I love looking at the real reviews and then going back at the, you know, looking at it and then reading the review and go, oh, I see exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
you know what I like looking at? The Unreal reviews.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, look at that. There's a link that popped up.
Boom. Advanced placement. All about it.
Digging it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that you do get that. You know, it's not just like, oh yeah, this is the class you start off with. We give you actually pretty detailed notes on, you know, why. I mean, what are the reasons you were placed in a particular class?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
It's pretty cool. Cool. What other questions you guys have? Got about 5 more minutes.
Yep. Hit us. Let me take a look here. Yeah.
Wait till June to pay for body mechanics. Go ahead. Oh,
yeah. And Sai had those couple in there, and they're sort of the same. Think of taking the basics of Maya, ready to learn some Unreal, take some animations. I mean, you know, you might want to look into like, so you'd still be able, you would still need to apply for advanced placement to get into body mechanics, by the way, Sai. Right. But if you're also thinking about Maya and also, you know, some Unreal, maybe looking into our game animation fundamentals course would be pretty cool. You know, it would kind of refresh some of the skills and teach you how to link Maya and Unreal together. And then if you really like that, you know, diving into the actual game animation program might be a good spot for you to kind of, you know, dive in and get your start in there.
Nice. Jay Sean's got a good one in the chat. Do I need to wait until June to pay for body mechanics? So if you're taking A&01 in the spring term coming up, no, you don't have to wait all the way until June. As a matter of fact, what Tim and I recommend is signing up for your class as early as possible, because as you progress through the program, seats in certain classes do get a bit competitive. You want to grab a seat early. So registration for our summer term is actually coming up April 21st. So I would recommend, you know, getting registered for that next class while you're currently in your current class in A&01. You know, lock that seat in early. And there's a bit of an incentive to do that too. If you do register early, we have something called the early bird registration sweepstakes, and we give away 3 awesome prizes every single term. $500 off of your next class, $1,000 off of your next class, and then the grand prize, a free course.
Boom.
You got a bow and arrow there?
I dig it. And Finja, you're right. Dog. You saw Dog. That was Heffa. She likes to make cameos every now and then.
Yeah, and Jay Sean, if you go over to our support site, support.animationmentor.com, type in academic calendar there. That's a really great resource just to check that out. It's super helpful just to have.
And Jay Sean knows too, because I was grilling him on the phone. Hey, you better register for your class, because don't call me crying to me. I couldn't get into this class because it was full. They do fill up quickly in certain time frames, and mentors, you know, get snatched up super duper quick. And you're like, darn it, I wish I'd have jumped in there when Tim yelled at me.
I mean, how about Sean Sexton for A&06?
My God.
What's the record on that?
I'm going to say it's under a minute.
Yeah, I would say so.
I swear to you, class 6. Hey, I'd be curious to see what Mr. Rob Garrote, had found out, you know, maybe, how fast those seats go, you know,
quick, very quick. Cool. Let's see. Might be of a controversial question, but a couple months ago, I discovered about Anim School. What is the difference between Anim School and Animation Mentor?
Yes.
Good question. I think there's a lot of differences. You know, Tim and I talk to a lot of students. We get a lot of students that transfer over from many different schools, you know, brick and mortar schools like SCAD and Ringling, online schools like iAnimate and Anim School. So we talk directly to students and actually hear, you know, what are some of the differences. I think one of the biggest differences, something that you'll find here, you know, not only are we, you know, 20 years old coming up in a couple of weeks here, which is pretty amazing.
27th.
that we've been around for 20 years. What does that actually mean? Well, it's pretty cool to say that we're the very first online animation
Yeah.
school. That's fun to say, but what does that actually mean? We've had 20 years to develop our online student campus, to build our community of artists from all around the world. So I think those are two huge things that really kind of stand out. I've heard from other students too that have transferred over from the schools that you mentioned, that our support here is pretty awesome. Tech support, the additional feedback sessions that we have, webinars like this.
This thing, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, the support options, and then there's me and Tim. There's Kinga as well. That we have a student
Yeah.
success team. So it's not like you just sign up for classes. I've heard. I don't like to say anything bad about other schools or anything like that, but I have heard from some other people that signed up for other online schools that the onboarding process was very transactional. They never really talked to a human. They
Yeah.
filled out a form. They kind of signed up, and that was just kind of it. But we have real people here to talk to you and guide you and make sure that you're in the right class. And it doesn't stop there. We follow students all the way through to graduation. I hear back
Yeah.
from students that are in all different levels of courses, and graduates as well. So those are a couple things. Anything you want to add, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed every bit of it, because it's that community side of it, right? And it's hard to sort of like, sort of quantify that and what that actually means, but that's legit,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
having, and you saw in the people inside of these the chat and stuff like that. There's graduates that are in there. There's people that are in
Right,
class
right.
6. Jay Sean's brand new, right? He started. Arash is brand new. So
Yeah.
it's like a mixture of everybody that's in there. And these are people that we actually spoke with and had Zoom sessions with before they even started school, because they were curious about how this works and how that works and what does the campus look like. And Mars and I are on Zoom going, oh, let's screen share with you. Let's check out some fresh back animation that just happened in
Yep.
this class, so you can kind of see. That to us, that's like a big deal, because he's right. It's very transactional, and Anim School's cool. There's no denying that, right? It's a copy of what we do. We know who Anim School is for sure. They're awesome. We're awesomer. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. It's the truth. But call up one of their student success coaches over there and ask them questions that that you want to know answers for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kind of find out what they say. It's hard, because Mars and I are here all the time. This is literally all we do, is
Yeah.
talk to students every day, all
Yep.
day long, and help them through this whole process.
Yeah, and Finja, I'm not sure if I'm saying the name right, but was asking to elaborate about the student success team. I think Tim just covered that quite a bit. That's what we do. We're here.
Yeah.
We're checking on students. We're sending messages. Kinga's amazing. She's on our team. Is on our team as well. It's funny too, because I've had some students. I've reached out to a couple of students, and I was like, "Oh, I noticed you missed an assignment last week." And they're like, "Wow, you noticed that?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're not just going to take your money and say good luck. We're
Nice
here
squirrel hop in week 3.
Yeah, right.
That kind of stuff.
Exactly. We're commenting on posts and adding emojis and checking in with people. So we're really here.
And even Rob says it right there. Rob, Mars actually listened to my prior experience and helped me figure out where to start the curriculum and actual conversation. He's right.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And then Arash over here, should I ask for a peer buddy program, or will I receive it automatically? Peer buddies are free tutors that we offer to students, that if they feel like they need a little extra help to kind of get them, could be a technology issue, could be a creative block, could just be a workflow thing that they need to figure out. We actually connect them with a peer buddy to help them through this whole process as well once they get started. So by the 3rd week of your class there, Arash, you should be able to sign up for a peer buddy.
Yep. Well, cool. Maybe one more. Sai is asking,
Sure.
You have every month new animation basics. So the Maya animation course, a 6-week one for beginners, that runs every 6 weeks. So 8 times per year you can jump in. You don't have to wait very long. Next one's coming up in just a couple of weeks.
Wham!
Boom. We got through a lot of questions. That was great.
You did awesome. There were so many good questions here.
There really was.
It was.
And I'll just second what Mars and Tim were saying. The animation mentor community is by far the thing that, when I was a student at the school many years ago, many moons ago, kept me in the school and has kept me there ever since.
Yeah.
The
Never
students
left.
never. The students that I met on day one, the very first orientation Q&A, I still play Mario Kart and Smash Brothers with
That's
them
sweet.
to this day, and that's been 12 years now.
Wow.
I mean, it's friends for
And,
life. We've
yeah.
had marriages from students that have come through this program and didn't meet each other except through like this, like Zoom,
Yeah.
right? And all of a sudden they're like, I do, you know?
We've had D&D groups start out. We've got all sorts of people just getting together and sharing the love of animation, helping each other genuinely, not helping each other transactionally to get something out of it. No,
Right,
this
right,
is like
right.
the community here is astounding, and it's something you can't really just put into words.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say
Yeah.
that too. Is you gotta feel it.
Yeah,
And-
like if you get a chance to go to an event like CTN or Lightbox or whatnot, you'll see it there. Where
see the
you'll
shirts.
just look and you'll see the AM crowd.
You're
You'll
like,
see
what
them
cult
just
is this? Where's
yeah,
this?
exactly.
Right. That's what I was thinking about too, because we were all hanging out together at the CTN not too long ago, a couple years ago, and it was just so cool. Just you see the orange and black, and our booth may not have been like the biggest one there. I mean, actually, it might have been, but just seeing how many people were just flocking to our booth and hanging out with us, and just wanting to be around it. It's a cool feeling. It's hard. It is hard to put into words, but once you experience that, even just taking one class, they're like, this is what Tim and Mars and Bo and Cam were talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what you look like in person. I thought you were just shoulders and a head the whole time.
I know. I wear a Zoom frame everywhere I go,
Yeah.
so people recognize me.
Well, thank you so much, Mars and Tim, for taking the time to answer all these questions and for always jumping into these workshops and kind of just taking your time to be here. It's always a blast to get to see you guys.
Oh,
And thank you
shucks.
again, everyone, for hanging out and asking all of these questions. I hope you all have a wonderful end of the week and hopefully a fun weekend. For those of you who are in Animation Mentor, good luck with your assignments. Only a couple left before the end of the term. Yay! So take care, everyone. Best of luck, and we'll see you around.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Pi Day.